Well, hello everybody. Just wanted to say hi and just to show you what my setup is. Here's what I'm doing to do the lesson. Okay, so here I am in my office. Let me back up so you can see. Okay, so here we go. This is what I have set up. Now what I do is I put this here. There we go. Let me get this. I can't do two things at once. Okay, there we go. So what I've got is this set up. And then I take my camera and I put it right here. I have these marks on here where my camera goes. So then I put my camera right there and it's lined up with the lesson. So there we go. So if you wondered, this is how I'm doing this. Okay, now let me get this focused here. Let me go to the autofocus feature. There we go, autofocus. And let me get it focused in on that. Okay, that should stay. All right, so I miss seeing you guys, but I'll tell you what, we are ready to move on to the second part of 10.4, which is solving quadratics by factoring. Okay, so you already know how to put it in standard form, and I thought that was pretty cool how they had that timed thing. Okay, let me take a look at. I'm gonna exit this full screen here for a second. Oh, let's just do that. And hang on just a second, bear with me. There we go. Okay, so what you're going to see on Delta Math is this. Okay, solve for all values of x by factoring. Now this is a quadratic, so we know that it's going to have two solutions, possibly, in most cases. Okay, so we're going to work on this one together. X squared plus 4x minus 30 equals negative 3x. Okay, take out your math notebook and again hit pause if you need to at any time and write this down. So number one is x squared plus 4x minus 30 equals negative 3x. Okay, first we have to get it in standard form, so we're going to add 3x to both sides. So I get x squared plus 7x minus 30 equals 0. Okay, now we're going to factor. So we have a quadratic trinomial, and so it's going to factor as the product of two binomials. This is what we did when we were graphing and we were finding the roots. Okay, so I'm going to factor it as two binomials. So it's going to have to be x and x. Now think of two numbers that multiply to be 30. For last times last has to multiply to be 30. So I could try 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10. Okay? Just thinking this through in my mind, 1 and 30 is going to be way too big because I'm going to have a 30x and a 1x, and that's just going to be way too big. 3 and 10 are going to be my winners. Now I want the 10x to be a positive, and I want the 3x to be a negative so that it adds up to positive 7x. Now I'm going to double check that by using FOIL. So first times first is x squared. Outside is plus 10x. Inside is minus 3x. And last times last is indeed negative 30. So these two do add up to a positive 7x. So that is the correct factorization. Okay, now I'm going to go back to this one right here. What I have is x minus 3 times x plus 10 equals 0. Okay? If two things multiply to be 0, one of them has to be 0. That's the multiplication property of 0. Multiplication property of 0. If A times B equals 0, then A equals 0 or B equals 0. Okay? It seems so obvious, but it's so powerful. Okay? In other words, we know that 2 times 5 is never going to be 0. In order for two things to multiply to be 0, one of them has to be 0. 0 times pi is 0. Okay? Or three things. 5 times 7 times 2 is never going to be 0. One of these guys would have to be 0 in order to get 0. Okay, now let's use that idea back here. X minus 3 times x plus 10 equals 0. I have two factors, x minus 3 and x plus 10. So if they multiply to be 0, one of them has to be 0. So either x minus 3 equals 0 or x plus 10 equals 0. Now solve each of these little linear equations and you get x equals 3, or here if we subtract 10, we get x equals negative 10. Those are my two solutions, okay? Now the way Delta Math does it is we have to put in two values. So we're going to put in 3 and negative 10. So when we submit our answer, the answer box looks like this. If you hit 3 and then comma, watch what happens. Keep in mind we're putting 3, negative 10. So I'm going to put in, there it is, 3, and then comma. Notice it gives me another box to put in my other answer of negative 10. Negative 10. So those are my answers. I'm going to submit that. Do I want to submit it? Yes, I do. And we got it right. And then again, it always shows you the work, how they've worked it out, which is very helpful if you get it wrong. Okay, so that's what you're going to do. Let's do a couple more so I can point out maybe some things that you might come across. Okay, so we took care of how you submit it. Let me get that. There we go. So 3, negative 10, and they put that in brackets is what it looks like on your thing. Okay, really what that means is the 2 points 3, 0 and negative 10, 0 are our two roots. We're just giving the x values right here. What this means on a graph is our parabola would cross at negative 10 and positive 3. So somehow I would have a parabola that's going like that. Okay, now you don't have to graph this time. I'm just showing you what's going on with these answers. Okay, number 2. Let's do this one. X squared minus 48 equals 1. Okay, have to get it in standard form, so I want it equal to 0, so I can use the multiplication property of 0. So I'm going to subtract 1. So that's x squared minus 49 equals 0. Now you might recognize that this is a difference of squares. You might remember that. So what I have are two perfect squares. X squared is a perfect square, so x times x. 49 is a perfect square. 7 times 7 is 49. And then remember we make one positive and one negative. So when I do outside, inside, it adds up to 0x. And then last times last is a negative 49. So what this means is x plus 7 equals 0, or x minus 7 equals 0. Subtract 7, we get x equals negative 7, or add 7, we get x equals positive 7. So those are our two answers, negative 7 or 7. Okay, good. I think I just have one or two more that I want to show you. Number 3, x squared minus 7x equals 0. Okay, notice this is not a trinomial, this is a quadratic binomial. So I'm not going to do factoring as the product of two binomials, like this one, two binomials, and this one, two binomials. I'm going to approach this one differently because I have a common factor of x. So I'm going to factor out the greatest common factor, which is x, and then I'd be left with x minus 7. Now take a look at that. Hit pause if you need to. If I were to distribute, x times x is x squared, x times negative 7 is negative 7x. So that would give me the original quadratic. Okay, now I still have two factors here. I have x and x minus 7. So either x equals 0 or x minus 7 equals 0. Add 7, and you get x equals 7. So the answers are 0 or 7. Okay, kind of cool. Sometimes you have to take out a greatest common factor. Okay, let's do one like this. Number 4. X squared minus 16x plus 64 equals 0. Okay, now this is already in standard form, so I'm ready to factor as the product of two binomials. X and x. Now notice that 64 is a perfect square. The square root of 64 is 8. Also notice that 8 plus 8 is 16. So this is going to factor as an 8 and an 8, and both of them have to be negative so that I would get that middle term when I do outside inside. That would give me a negative 16x. If you need to, double check using FOIL. X minus 8 times x minus 8. First times first, let's FOIL. First times first is x squared. Outside minus 8x. Inside minus 8x. And last times last is a positive 64. Notice those two add up to a negative 16x. So that's the correct factorization. Okay, let's go back over here then. Two things multiply to be 0. That means either x minus 8 equals 0 or x minus 8 equals 0. Notice for both of them, we get an identical answer. X equals 8 and x equals 8. So we have one answer. X equals 8. Okay, you do not have to put both of them in. This turned out to be, they call that a multiplicity of 2 because the root appeared twice. What that means for this parabola, you don't have to graph it, but I just want to show you because you guys will get this. What this means is that this parabola would cross, actually it wouldn't cross, it would touch 8, so it would come down and then it would hit 8 and bounce back up. So it just touches the x-axis once. Oh, here it is. It just touches the x-axis once at 8. Let me zoom in on that. That's what that would look like. Okay, you guys are learning so much about parabolas and quadratics. I believe that's it. I think that's all the info you need to do these. So I'm going to stop right here, and I want you guys to have a super great day. Do something fun. Maybe have some hot cocoa. I know it's spring, but still, hot cocoa is fun. I don't even know if I can draw a hot cocoa coffee mug. I'll try. There it is. Steamy hot. Okay, anyway, have a great day, and try the Delta math problems, and we'll see ya. Let's see if I can say goodbye in person. Let me see if I can do this here. Oh, maybe I lost myself. Let's try this one. There I am. Maybe not. I'm not sure. I'm not being able to do this. Okay. I'm not doing it. Okay, oh, there it is. Okay, it was hidden way up in the corner. Oh, son of a gun. Okay, there it is. Oh, this technology. Okay, so there it is. Let me move my shield. Okay, gang, we'll see ya. I miss you. Hey, maybe we should set up a Zoom. I'm going to send out a thing where maybe we could do a Zoom. That would be fun. And then I could see all your faces. I miss you. Okay, take care. Bye.